Hello student, you are all welcome to AEA 308, the Principle of Farm Management class. I am Dr. Helen B. Inyang, your course facilitator. Farm management is one of the most important branch of agricultural economics. It is here in farm management that you will be exposed to different methods of managing your farms. Also, in the course of it, you will know how to make use of minimum resources to obtain optimal or maximum output. I assure you that you will enjoy this course. Thank you. Once again, you are welcome to AEA 308 Principles of Farm Management class. Before I start the main facilitation, I want you to take a look at this picture. This is a typical farm management system. You can see from this picture here, the first picture here is a greenhouse. Why are these people embarking, or why is this person embarking on a greenhouse? Why is greenhouse useful? You see, from here, greenhouse, one, when we talk about farm management, in a greenhouse, you don't need a very large space. Or just a small space, you can cultivate and harvest with, you can cultivate and then harvest, your harvest will be maximized. You'll be able to manage in greenhouse. In greenhouse, you guide against pests or any other factors or harsh weather condition. All those things will not come to play as far as greenhouse is concerned. Even though it is expensive to manage, but at the end of it, the farmer or the farm manager will smile. The next here is, you can see this is a animals husbandry. In this place, these animals are being put in a confinement instead of allowing them to roam about. They are doing this because they want to make sure that they will maximize outputs and minimize costs. In the course of it, the animals will be kept in one place and they are being fed with good or balanced ration. Instead of them to move from one place to the other, you know that movement also reduces weights of animals. So if a good farmer will prefer to put them in a confinement, feed them within a short period of time, they will fatten them, they will be due for market. And by the time they take it to the market, you will see that there will be difference between the animals that are being allowed to move from one place, the free range, and those ones that are being put in confinement and are well fed. This is also farm management. Their main aim is to minimize costs and maximize output. The topic is the overview of principle of farm management as a first lesson as far as this course is concerned. Under introduction, agriculture is regarded as the art and the science of cultivating crops, raising animals, provision of raw materials for industries, and marketing of agricultural products for man use. We have been able to see cultivation of crops in a greenhouse and also raising of animal in those two pictures. There are many branches of agriculture, which among others includes agricultural economics, crop science, soil science, animal science, fishery, forestry, and agricultural engineering. Agricultural economics involves the application of economic principles in agriculture. One of the most important branches of agricultural economics is farm management. Without farm management, be it crops or whatever, if the farm is not properly managed, there is bound to be losses. There is bound to be wastage. There is bound to have losses, and then the profits will not be high. Generally, farm management is the ability of some people to compel economic progress through forceful direction and coordination of other people's effort. When applied to farm businesses, management could be seen as a practical undertaking of the farm business with respect of how to put the crop and livestock husbandry to work on the farm as a means of obtaining profits. Farm management is a science which deals with proper combination and operation of production factors such as land, labor, and capital. So it is in farm management that these factors of production will come to play. And the entrepreneur or the manager will put these other factors of production to work, put land to work, put labor and capital to work in order to obtain high profits or high yield. In this age of science and technology, success in businesses requires ability to harness scientific and technological knowledge. It involves having a personal command and clear hold on the technology, commercial, and human aspects of business, which becomes interwoven into successful progress in business. In farm management, it's not just to acquire, say, I am a scientist, I am this, but farm management embraces sciences. It embraces technology in order to maximize profit. And also, it also involves having a command, personal command and clear hold on the technology. This technology, that's technical know-how. You must know how to use certain machineries. When it comes to commercial, you must also be able to be knowledgeable on commercial aspects of management. It has to also human resources. You also be able to manage human resources effectively in order to succeed in business. The idea that managers are born, not made, is erroneous and is dying down. You see, gone are those days that we say, managers are born, you have that inbuilt in. No, managers, it is to be a successful, a good manager, it must be acquired. You must pass through trainings, experience, before you be able to manage your farm effectively. Also, the feeling that technical and commercial competence alone can see you through does not hold either. For the fact that you are technical technologist or you know much about technical aspects of farming and commercial aspects of it, how you be able to create market, create awareness, and then get people to patronize you, it's not good enough. Management is more than that. So people at this age now realize that it is possible to develop managerial skill. You should acquire knowledge through training in order to be able to manage your farm effectively. That is why you are a student of agriculture. You are doing this so that you'll be able to manage your farm effectively. And you are studying farm management so that you'll be able to manage your farm effectively. This course is designed to provide essential skill needed in farm businesses. The main aim of this course is to explain how to effectively manage farm businesses in order to maximize profit. So the aim of a manager is to minimize losses and to maximize profits. And that is why you will stand out as a good and a successful farm manager at the end of this course. The course objectives are, at the end of this course, the student should be able to define farm management, explain the principles and functions of farm management, list the special characteristics of agriculture that affects farm management decision, and provide solutions to them. You'll be able to highlight or list the characteristics of agriculture that needs farm management decision. And not only doing that, you'll be able to give solution, provide solution to them. You'll be able to find a way out in solving those problems. You will be able to identify the problem of agriculture, and then you'll be able to find solution to these problems. Also, to describe some of the common concepts and tools used in farm management. You also be able to determine depreciation charges for any farm asset. Explain the meaning, list the characteristics, and determine the importance of farm input resources such as land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurs. Identify the type of farm business organization and list their characteristics as well as the advantages and disadvantages. You will also be able to determine the importance of keeping farm records and accounts. In the course of this facilitation or the course, you will also be able to prepare balance sheet and profit and loss accounts for any given farm enterprises. Because that is after taking records. It is the farm records and account that will help you to be able to prepare these profit and loss accounts as well as balance sheet. It will also help you to calculate and explain the implication of the common financial ratios to farm management. So we covered our course syllabus wouldn't. Week 2 activities will be the meaning, principle, and function of farm management. This will cover Module 1, Units 1, 2, 3, and 4. Unit 1 will talk about the scope or nature and scope of farm management. Unit 2 will talk about basic principles of farm management. Under that basic principle of farm management, we'll have the first one here, the general principle. The general principles under there will discuss about 14 principles. One of them will be division of labor. Another one will be authority and responsibility. 3 will be discipline. 4, unity of command. 5, unity of direction. 6, subordination of individual interest to general interest. 7, renomination of personnel. 8, centralization. 9, scalar chain. 10, order. 11, equity. 12, stability of tenure of personnel. 13 is initiative. The last but not the least is esprit de corps, which would describe the harmony among all members of the organization. We are done with the, we will also consider the basic principle. Under basic principle, we will take about 5 of them to discuss. One of them will be planning and control. 2, organization. 3, coordination. 4, motivation and others. In unit 3, we will consider special characteristics of agriculture. We all know that agriculture is characterized by a lot of risks compared to other sectors of economy or industrial sector. Here we'll consider the uncertainty. We'll also discuss about risks. We will also be able to identify and explain the different types of risks that affects farm management. Unit 4 will discuss about the decision-making function of farm management. The decision-making functions of farm management. You see, as a farm manager, you must be able to take certain decisions that will be able to help you to maximize your output. There are other factors that also will have serious implications on farm. So under these factors, you must be able to take decisions in order to alleviate the problems, such as price changes. What decision do you intend to take when prices of a commodity change? Also, government actions and policies. What will you do if a government happens to impose a policy that will not be favorable to you as a farm manager? What will you do when other people also impose a threat to your farm as other people's action? What decision will you take when one of your worker has a serious health problem? Also, what about other risks and uncertainties which you don't even know? What decision do you intend to take under this? Week 3. Week 3, we'll be able to look at In week 3 is the topic for week 3 is a common concepts and tools in farm management. We will cover Module 2, Unit 1, Unit 2, and Unit 3 in week 3. In Unit 1, we will talk about economic principle and farm management. The economic principle and farm management. Then Unit 2, we talked about the cost. We'll talk about farm costs. Unit 3, we will talk about valuation and depreciation of farm management. Then here, what is economic principle? Under economic principle, we will be able to look at opportunity costs. We'll be able to look at opportunity costs, the law of diminishing returns, the principle of substitution, and others. Then when we are talking about the farm costs, what are those costs? That is costs you will incur in the cost of production. Some of them will be variable costs, some will be total costs, or some of them will be variable costs, some will be fixed costs, some will be overhead costs. That's overhead cost is the same thing as fixed costs. Some will be the financial costs. Then we have capital costs as well as personal costs. So during our discussion in week 3, we will be able to throw more light on this. We will explain them in details. Unit 3, we talked about valuation and depreciation of farm assets. What is farm assets? We'll be able to define farm assets during that facilitation. We'll also be able to define depreciation. We'll also be able to define valuation. And then we'll be able to state the advantages and disadvantages. Then in the course of it, we'll also be able to do certain mathematical expression or formulas and also a little calculation under this unit. As under valuation and depreciation, we'll be able to calculate annual depreciation, salvage value, and others. In week 4, the topic will be on literate versus illiterate farmers in farm management, as well as farm inputs management. You see, we all know that agriculture or farmers are predominantly illiterate. So in the course of it, we will be able to differentiate between the two of them. And then we'll also be able to look at the characteristics of Nigerian agriculture. All this will be in Unit 4. Unit 4 of Model 2. Then Model 3, still under this week 4, we'll look at Unit 1, Unit 2, and 3. In Unit 1, we will talk about land. We'll be able to define land. We'll be able to look at the different characteristics of land. Land as a gift of nature. Immobility. Immobile. Land is immobile. And fixed in supply and others. We'll look at them in details. And also we'll be able to discuss on land management. Then the next thing we are going to look at is in Unit 2. That is the capital. We'll be able to define the terms capital. We'll also be able to look at identify or state the characteristics of capital. Then we'll also be able to mention and explain the different types of capital. Then we will also look at the sources of capital in our facilitation in week 4. Then we also look at the different labors. We'll define labors and we'll be able to look at the different types of labors and also the characteristics of labor in the course of our facilitation in week 5. We'll also be able to look at the sources of labor as well. And then this will also take us to management and supervision of labor also. We'll be able to look at all these subtopics. In week 5, the topic for week 5 will be farm input management and forms of farm ownership. This will cover Module 3, Unit 4, and Module 4, Units 1, 2, and 3. Module 3, Unit 4 we'll still talk about farm inputs. You know, an entrepreneurship is a farm input. It is the person that will be able to harness the labor, capital, and land to obtain maximum production of goods and services. That is the work of an entrepreneur. We'll also look at the difference between entrepreneur and labor. Are they not human beings? Why shouldn't we lump them together? But in the course of the facilitation in week 5, we will see the reason why entrepreneur is separated from labor. So we'll also be able to look at the different functions of entrepreneur, such as provision of capital, risk bearing. I'm not going to say anything because when we'll be able to discuss risk bearing, decision taking, coordination of other factors of production, efficient management, and miscellaneous functions. We'll be able to explain those things in details when in week 5. We will also be able to look at the typical farm organizational structure under entrepreneurship. Who will start from the highest to the lowest. We have the general manager, the assistant general manager, financial controller, livestock manager, crop manager, director of administration. We will discuss them in details during live facilitation class in week 5. In module 2, like I said, module 4, still under week 5, we covered units 1, 2, and 3. In unit 1, we will talk about sole proprietorship, that is forms of farm business ownership. Under forms of farm business ownership, we talked about sole proprietorship. Why are they called sole proprietorship? We will see those things. And then we'll also look at the characteristics of this sole proprietorship that have to do with the forms of ownership. Under the forms of ownership, types of liabilities they bear, source of their capitals, motivations of its formation or motive of its formation. We will come to understand this or learn about this in details. Legal status. What are their legal status? The legal status of the sole proprietorship. What are their methods of withdrawing capitals? Or what is their nature of business? We'll look at that. We will also be exposed to their advantages as well as disadvantages. Under the advantage, we will look at the establishment, the capital requirement, decision making, business management, share of profits, existence of privacy in the business, the relationship between the owner and the employees, multiple occupations, withdrawal of assets. Then we will look at the disadvantages under the following headings, limited capital, limited ability, unlimited liability, business, that is form of entity. Then talked about and others. We will also consider partnership. What is partnership when it has to do with business? We will be able to define partnership in week 5. We'll also look at the partnership deeds in week 5. We will also consider the types of partnership. We will consider the different characteristics of partnership. We'll look at the different characteristics of partnership. Which will entail their legal status, the types of liabilities, sources of their capital, motive of its formation, legal status, and the nature of their business. So and others, we'll look at them. We'll also look at the advantages under capital supply, decision making, and so on. We will also be exposed to the disadvantages of partnership. In Unit 3, we will discuss cooperative. or limited. We will discuss cooperative or limited company. Week 6. In week 6, the topic for week 6 is cooperative and the concepts of farm records and accounting. This will cover Module 4, Unit 4 and Module 5, Units 1 and 2. Under Module 4, Unit 4, we will discuss cooperative societies as the different cooperative societies. We will be able to define the cooperative society as an organization. We will also be able to look at the characteristics of this cooperative society under open membership, democratic control, limited returns on capital, patronage dividend, cash transaction only, religion or political neutrality, constant education of members. We will look at those characteristics. Then we'll be able to explain the different types of cooperative under week 6, such as producers cooperative society, consumers cooperative society, marketing cooperative society, tariff and credit cooperative society, multipurpose cooperative society, we talked about multipurpose cooperative society and other cooperative society. We will also look at the advantages of cooperative societies as well as the disadvantages of these cooperative societies. In Module 5, we will look at the concept. That's Module 5. We will look at the concept of farm records and accounting. Under the concept of farm records and accounting, we will define farm records. We will define farm accounting. We will also take account, as farm accounts, and also look at the different designs to show two major financial statements. We will look at the balance sheet. We will look at the income and expenditure, that is profit or loss in the farm business. We'll also be able to look at the importance of keeping farm records and accounts. Under this topic, calculation of profit margins, progress reports, easy access to credits, determination of appropriate tax, determination of insurance premium, guide in decision making, planning and budgeting purpose, and then we'll also look at the different types of farm records and accounting. There are different types of farm records and accounting. This includes, let's look at the farm records first. This includes production records, income and expenditure records, inventory records, and miscellaneous records. We will take them one after the other. We'll also consider steps involved in inventory records. We'll look at the steps. There are about 2 steps. And then we will, in Unit 2, we will talk about farm records design. How will you design your farm records? When we talk about design of farm records and accounts, it's a combination of the records of production and income and expenditure on the farm. So the nature of the design will depend on a number of factors such as the type of crop enterprise, the type of livestock enterprise, interest of the farmers or managers. We will consider all these in designing farm records. We will also look at how many columns are we going to use, how many rows are we going to use. We consider all those. We have a simple farm records and accounts for either crop enterprise. We will look at that. Then cropping records, even labor records. We will be able to look at those. What is it will involve, it entails. We will also look at commercial inputs use records, harvest records, sales records, then simple farm accounts for poultry, that's livestock production. We'll look at feed records, poultry feed records, other cost records, as well as labor records. Then we'll look at the livestock number. How many birds did you put at the start? We'll look at those records. How many birds survive at the end of the production? We'll look at those records. Then we'll also look at the egg production. How many, those that if you embark on layers production, how many birds did you stock? And how many of them are laying eggs? What is the number of eggs laid per day? All those things will be embedded in egg production records. Then we'll also look at the sales. You cannot just produce and leave them in the farm. You have to find an outlet of selling them. We'll look at the records of sales records of this egg. How many crates of eggs are being sold in a day? We will look at that also. Then, even after these birds might have finished laying, how many spent hens have we been able to sell? in a day, and so on. If it was broilers, all those things, how many have we been able to sell? How many birds have we been able to sell per day? Then we also look at other livestock, ruminants, the accounts keeping, simple farm records and accounts for other livestock. We will consider all those ones. That is ruminant animals. Then we'll look at the different types of farm records. This will include feed records, labor records, other cost records, livestock record, meat or beef sales records, milk production records, milk sale records, and so on. We will be exposed. We will be able to describe or to discuss more on this in week 6. Still under these farm records, we will consider the principle of farm records and accounts. We'll look at the various principles involved in farm records and accounts. Still under Unit 2, that is farm records. This will now go to week 7. Week 7. Under week 7, we will talk about, that is the topic for week 7 will be benefit cost analysis of agricultural products and financial statement. This will cover Module 4, Unit 3 and 4. Unit 3, benefit cost analysis of agricultural products. Unit 4 will be financial statement. When we are talking about, we'll be able to define costs. We'll be able to define benefits, the cost of it. We will also look at cost benefits analysis. We will also consider the cost benefit cost ratios. We will also look at the classes of costs and benefits. We'll consider the intangible and tangible costs and benefits. We will look at the direct costs, that is the primary as well as the secondary costs, indirect costs and benefits. Under primary costs, we will consider direct primary benefit, primary costs, project costs, associated costs. In secondary, we'll look at secondary benefits, secondary or indirect costs, and then we'll be able to identify these costs in agricultural projects. And then we'll look at the goods and services. What are they? We'll consider them. Those things that we would identify easily. Those are the goods and services, the laborers, the cost of land, the taxes. Those are the things, and subsidies. Those are the projects analysis as costs that can be easily identified. Then we'll also identify their benefits in agricultural projects. We'll be able to talk about them one after: increased value of output and cost reduction. We'll discuss on these various costs. Then we'll also look at the analysis of costs and benefits. Under A is cost. We talked about cost of crop production, cost of livestock production. We'll talk about cost of projects, and so on. We'll consider all those things. Then under benefit, we'll be able to look at primary and tangible benefits. Here we'll be able to talk about agricultural production. We'll talk about gross value of production. We'll also discuss the net value of production. And then under secondary, we'll talk about intangible benefits, which we'll be able to discuss. Then looking at the financial statement, that is Unit 4. Unit 4, financial statement, under week 7, we'll be able to discuss the assets and liability, the meaning of assets, meaning of liability. We'll look at them. We will also look at balance sheet of a typical farm enterprise. Then, under these financial statements, we will look at net worth or net capital. We'll look at the meanings of this net worth. We will also consider some calculations under this topic. We'll be able to calculate net worth, accounting ratios, net worth ratios, working capital ratios. We'll also be able to calculate current capital ratios. We'll also be able to determine the profit or net farm income. We'll also look at the profits and loss account, total products on returns, total expenditure. We will look at them one after the other. Week 8 will be revision class. In week 8, we will be able to test student ability on the principle of farm management. You'll be given a series of 3 TMS that has to do with objectives questions, and also you'll be tested on POP, that is theory, that will carry 70 marks. One will carry 30 marks. In conclusion, farm management is a science which deals with proper combination and operation of production factors such as land, labor, and capital. In this lesson, you have learned about the aims and objectives of the principle of farm management, as well as the areas to be covered in the course material. In summary, in this lesson, you have learned about the aims and objectives of this course. The facilitation will take us a period of 8 weeks to cover the course content. The facilitation classes will cover the 5 modules for the semester. Assignment. Having listened to the video of this facilitation, I will want you to define agriculture. And I will also want you to differentiate between management and farm management. This will now take us to the end of the facilitation. We will meet again on Monday for live class facilitation by 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Thank you.